The last thing my mother said to me before I left was, "You've always been a burden, Emily." She didn't yell it. That would have been easier. She said it the way you say something you've believed for years. Calm, certain, final. I remember standing in the kitchen, my hands still slightly wet from washing dishes no one had asked me to wash. My shoulders were relaxed, too relaxed, because when something hurts you for long enough, your body stops reacting. It just absorbs. I nodded, not because I agreed, but because arguing had never changed anything in that house. "I understand," I said quietly. My father didn't look up from his phone. My younger brother smirked slightly, like this was just another normal evening. And maybe for them it was. But for me, something shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, just final. I went upstairs, closed my door, and sat on the edge of my bed. My room was small, always had been, the leftover space in a house that somehow never had room for me. I looked around, at the shelves I had built myself, the books I had bought with money from jobs they said were a waste of time, the suitcase in the corner, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel stuck. I felt done. I didn't cry. That surprised me, because I had cried before, a lot. But this wasn't sadness. This was clarity, the kind that comes when you finally stop hoping people will change. I opened my closet, pulled out the suitcase, and placed it on the bed. There was a pause, a moment where my hands rested on the zipper, where a small voice inside me whispered, "If you do this, there's no going back." I inhaled slowly, exhaled, and opened it. I packed quietly. Not everything, just what mattered. Clothes, documents, a few personal things, things that belonged to me, not things they had given me, because I didn't want anything that tied me to them. When I finished, I sat there again, looking at the room, at the life I had spent years trying to be enough for. My chest tightened slightly, not from regret, from realization. I was never the problem. That thought landed slowly, but when it did, it stayed. I stood up, picked up my suitcase, and walked downstairs. No one stopped me. My mother glanced at me briefly. "Where are you going?" she asked. I paused at the door, my hand resting on the handle. "I don't know," I said, and for the first time, that answer didn't scare me. I opened the door and walked out. The first night, I stayed in a cheap motel 20 minutes away. Nothing special, just a place to sleep. But it felt quiet, not silent, peaceful. I remember sitting on the edge of the bed, my suitcase still closed, my hands resting on my knees, waiting for guilt, for panic, for that overwhelming urge to go back. It didn't come. Instead, there was something else. Relief. Not loud, but steady, like my body had finally stopped bracing for something. I lay down, stared at the ceiling, and for the first time in years, I slept without waking up. The next morning, I turned off my phone. That part wasn't impulsive. I had thought about it, because I knew how it would go. Calls, messages, not because they missed me, but because control had shifted, and people like my parents didn't handle that well. So I disconnected, completely. I found a small studio apartment within 3 days. Nothing impressive, but it was mine. I got a job within a week. Long hours, low pay, but no one there knew me. No one saw me as a burden, just a person, and that was enough. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and slowly I changed. Not visibly at first, but internally. I stopped apologizing for existing, stopped over-explaining, stopped shrinking myself to make others comfortable. There were hard days, of course there were, moments where the silence felt heavy, where I questioned everything. But even on those days, I never once considered going back because something inside me knew going back meant losing myself again, and I had just found her. Then, one day, I turned my phone back on. I don't know why. Maybe curiosity, maybe closure, maybe I just wanted to see what happened when I was gone. The screen lit up, and for a second, I just stared, because it didn't stop. Missed calls, messages, notifications, dozens, hundreds, all from them. My hands went still, my breathing slowed, and for the first time since I left, I felt something shift again. Not fear, not guilt, something else. Control. I opened the messages slowly, not rushing, not reacting, just observing. The first ones were predictable. "Where are you? Emily, this isn't funny. Come home." Then they changed. "Why aren't you answering? This is getting ridiculous." Then panic. "Emily, please, something's wrong. Call us." My eyebrows tightened slightly. My fingers paused over the screen. Something felt off. I kept scrolling, and then I saw it. A message from my father. "Emily, we need to talk. It's urgent." That word, urgent, it didn't belong to them, not when it came to me. I called, not immediately. I waited, let them sit in that uncertainty a little longer. Then, finally, I pressed dial. My mother answered instantly. "Emily, where are you? Are you okay?" Her voice was different, not sharp, not cold, shaken. "I'm fine," I said, calmly. There was a pause. Then my father's voice in the background. "Put her on speaker." The shift was immediate. "Emily," he said, "we need you to come home." I leaned back slightly, my posture relaxed. Why? Silence. A long one. Then, finally, "It's about the house." My eyes narrowed slightly. "What about it?" Another pause. Then the truth came out. Not clean, not controlled, but messy, real. "We're in trouble," he admitted. I said nothing. Let him continue. "The house, it's not fully in my name." That made me sit up straighter. "What does that mean?" "It means," he hesitated, "your name is on it too." My breath caught slightly, not from shock, from realization. "I don't remember signing anything like that." "You didn't," he said quietly. And that's when everything clicked. Years ago, a document, something they told me was just paperwork. I had signed it, without question, because I trusted them. And now, that document mattered. A lot. "If you don't come back," he said slowly, "we could lose everything." There it was, not concern, not regret, fear, for themselves. I closed my eyes briefly, exhaled, and when I opened them, I wasn't the same person who had left that house. "I'm not coming back," I said. My voice didn't shake, didn't hesitate. It just existed, firm, final. "Emily, you don't understand." "No," I interrupted calmly. "I understand perfectly." There was silence, heavy, uncomfortable. "For years," I continued, "I was a burden, right?" No one responded. Now suddenly, I matter? My mother tried to speak. "Emily, that's not what we—" "It is," I said quietly, and the truth in my voice stopped her. I stood up slowly, walking toward the window, looking out at a life I had built without them. "You didn't call because you missed me," I said. "You called because you need me." Another silence, but this one felt different, because they knew I was right. "I'm not angry," I added softly, and that surprised even me, because I wasn't. Anger requires attachment, and I had let that go. I just see things clearly now. My father spoke again. "What do you want, Emily?" I thought about that. Not for long. "I want nothing from you. and you'll get nothing from me. That was the moment, the real one. Not when I left, not when I disappeared. This was when I truly walked away. There were more calls after that, more messages, but I didn't respond because I didn't need to. I had already said everything that mattered. Months passed, then a year. I heard through someone else they lost the house. Everything changed for them, just like it had for me, but differently, because I didn't collapse. I rebuilt, slowly, carefully, on my own terms. And sometimes, late at night, I think about that girl in the kitchen, the one standing there with wet hands and quiet pain, the one who thought she was the problem, and I wish I could tell her something. Not loudly, not dramatically, just simply. You were never the burden. You were just in the wrong place. And the moment you left, everything finally made sense.